Hello everyone, this is Marcus, and today I thought it was probably time to do a little analysis about what the VGC16 metagame is about at the moment. The format's been around for about a month right now, so yeah, I don't know, like several tournaments happened, and one specific series of tournament, the Japanese Gloria Qualifiers. They are what interests us in this video, as they did provide usage statistics for all three of their tournaments they held. Each of them had like over 100 participants. I covered the first one of those in an extra video, so you should probably check that out to get a little bit of a feeling what those tournaments are about and how they go down and so on. I talked about that in that video. And yeah, so December 15 to January 16, three of those tournaments happened, and here are two tournaments that we already analyzed on the channel, so just that as a little reminder. Here on the left side you can see the usage stats of the first VGC16 Gloria Qualifier. We did see Xerneas at yeah, rank 1 most used Mon there in this tournament at 62% usage. And then we also saw like the teams from the Japan versus Germany friendly. You can see those on the right side, or the usage stats rather. However, I mentioned it like a couple of times in the video. I did an analysis on these teams. Yeah, only 10 players participated in that friendly, so yeah, the numbers are not really representative, but it gives us a little bit of like a feeling about what this format is about. I mean, you can already see it, like a lot of Xerneas, a lot of Kangaskhan, a lot of Groudon, and then a whole lot of other stuff. But yeah, if we go a little bit deeper, and yeah, we should like analyze stats not only at one point in like at one tournament, but like over time to see what changes, which Pokemon did get more used in like the last month or so. Which mons fell short of the expectations and dropped down in usage. So this is what we'll be doing here. You can here see the usage statistics of the three Gloria qualifiers, and there's like a lot of information there. I will also link all three of those threads in the description, so you can check them out for yourself. But I will talk about like the top 10 in usage, or the like the first few mons in a little bit. But you can see, for example, Xerneas started strong here, first place in the first qualifier at 62% usage. That's pretty much like crazy. But then it dropped down a little bit, dropped a little bit in usage in the second qualifier, and then dropped down even further. So I will be analyzing stuff like that. And so yeah, let's start with an observation I made. Actually, let me disappear for a little moment. So here you can see, yeah, like the big six, I guess. For those of you who don't know, the big six is like a term of, I don't know, it's like pretty similar to what people refer to like chalk today. I mean, they probably shouldn't use chalk, but I guess that's what Pokemon Showdown chat decided to make out of it. So basically the big six is a term that is like the team, you know, like the strongest like team when it comes to like the strongest Pokemon. So the big six of VGC16 is probably like, or no, sorry, like the big six of VGC15 is like Chalk plus Thundurus, for example, and like the big six of VGC11 was like Thundurus, Tornadus, Terrakion, Amoonguss, Grafty, Hydreigon, for example, or like the big six of VGC12 in the beginning were like Garchomp, Salamence, no, sorry, Garchomp, Latias, Metagross, Hitmontop, Zapdos, and something like Cresselia. I don't know, like, so you get a feeling about like what the big six like means if you played those formats, I just mentioned. But right now it seems like there is a group of 6 Pokemon that dominate over the others in usage, as they are in like the top 6 of basically like any like usage statistics I checked. In the first qualifier, we do see them, second qualifier, third qualifier, as well as on the Pokemon Showdown 1760 stats for December. I will also link those in the description, and yeah, like if you don't know what 7060 stats are, then I don't know, like browse moment, there's probably a thread for that, but yeah, basically you can see those 6 mons, Primal Groudon, Mega Kangaskhan, Primal Kyogre, Xerneas, Cresselia, and Mega Salamence. They seem to dominate this format, and yeah, like by like I don't know, like there's no other mon that is like close to them in usage. And so we'll be going over these, and unfortunately though, of course, like you can't use those 6 in a team together because of the restricted rule that allows only 2 of them, so you can only bring like Groudon and Xerneas, for example. But yeah, I mean 5 of those still make like a very solid core for a team. And yes, so as I mentioned, we will be going over yeah, the changes that Mons did from like the first qualifier to the third qualifier. By the way, I can also reappear as my face is not blocking anything anymore, so hello there. So we're starting off with Xerneas, as it was like the most used mon in the first Gloria Qualifier. Yeah, there it had 62% of usage, which is pretty crazy. However, over the time, it dropped down a little bit. Now, only in the most recent qualifier that just ended like this weekend. And actually, by the way, shoutouts to Hibiki, and thanks to all of his efforts that he made those tournaments accessible for Western players as well. In case you did not see them, or like his blog posts, and you want to participate in one of those Japanese tournaments, then I will link those as well in the description. Yeah, like he explains what you have to do if you want to sign up for a tournament like this, and then you can like check it out there. But yeah, it's single elimination, best of one, so you might just like lose the first game and then you're out. But hey, if you want to participate, check that out. So in the third qualifier, quite a few Western players participated, so that's probably like something to consider when analyzing these stats, that maybe there's like some trends in the Western world that yeah, influence the usage stats here, as obviously the teams from players from the US or from Europe are also like influencing the stats. But yeah, it looks like as there is some tendency here, as Xerneas also like from the first to the second qualifier was losing like 9% of usage, and yeah, like it dropped from being the most used mon in the first qualifier to being the 4th most used mon in the third qualifier, which is still not too bad, I guess. But it looks like people try to get a little bit away from using Xerneas, as yeah, people started using stuff to hard counter it, since basically whenever you see Xerneas, you know exactly what it does. It will have a power herb, it will have Geomancy and Protect. It most likely will also have Dazzling Gleam and Moonblast, and even if it doesn't have those, like, I don't know, like Grass Knot, Hidden Power, Ground, there are just not too many great options on Xerneas except for the fairy coverage moves. So yeah, you know what this thing does, and if you can manage to like paralyze it, taunt it, knock off the power herb as it's trying to go for a Geomancy, I don't know, if you can gyro ball it, if you have like 2 fairy type resistances in, it just is like, it still can do its job sometimes, but it is possible to hard counter Xerneas and to shut it down. And if you're up against a team and you're like a Xerneas user and you're up against a team and you see like double steel types and primal Groudon, I don't know, like what do you want to do? Do you want to still try to go for it? But you won't have any surprises, and like with your Xerneas, like there's no way for Xerneas to beat like, I don't know, like a Ferrothorn in rain or something like that. Like there's just no way. So I don't know. I think being so one-dimensional on the one hand hinders it a little bit, because as I just mentioned, there's like ways to hard counter it. But on the other hand, it also just shows, I mean, it's like still used on like 40% of teams basically, even though it's like so predictable. It's just so strong. Geomancy is such a ridiculous move. +2, +2, +2, and all you have to give up for it is your item, so that is like really crazy. Fairy Aura on top of that, so I do think that the conception of this Pokemon is like, whew, it's just very, very strong, you know. So I mean, you probably, like, you definitely know this. You have to prepare for this thing, but looks like it's dropping down in usage a little bit, which is a relief, I would guess. Um, Next up, we do have Groudon, which was the second most used mon in the first qualifier, but yeah, fell a little short there to Xerneas. However, it's like back where most people see it on like the most used mon in the second and the third tournament there. Now it had a usage of 63% in the most recent tournament, and that's just enormous, I guess. Like, even more increasing as the format is like settling out a little bit, stabilizing, I guess. Groudon is like still better than people like believed it was, I guess. So I don't really know where this is going, but Groudon, I don't know, like crazy stats. You can go special, you can go mixed, you can go physical, you can go in Trick Room, you can go max speed, you can do anything with this thing really. So yeah, I guess still increasing in usage, and it's not as easy to hard counter as Xerneas, even if you're really trying to. There's just not too much that can take like the fire ground stab coverage, and nothing really wants to switch into like an eruption or Perseus Blades. So it's definitely understandable why this thing is on top. So let's move on to Kangaskhan, the first non-restricted mon, the undoubted king of VGC15. Yeah, is still the best Mega Evolution, probably. At least it's the most used one. Yeah, around 50% of teams do have a Kangaskhan, which is pretty crazy. I guess it makes sense, you know, like, you can have double Megas as well if you wanted to. You can have, like, Mega Mens, Mega Mawa, Mega Gengar, Mega Rayquaza, but then, like, what else is there really to use in VGC16, I guess? Like, Mega Gardy, not that good anymore. Mega Charizard, unusable. And, you know, like Mega Metagross, probably. I don't know, like, there's some interesting options, like Mega Lucario, possibly. But, yeah, I mean, Mega Kangaskhan still going strong with its bread and butter set, Fake Out, Double Edge, Low Kick, Sucker Punch being the most common one, and, yeah, I don't know, like, still, like, increasing a little bit the usage, but, yeah, like, actually, there is, like, a mistake here. It should be, like, -1% instead of plus, but, yeah, there are so many numbers here, so just, like, imagine that it was a minus, but, yes. Next up, we do have Cresselia, which is kind of interesting. I do think it is a little bit more valued in Japan once again. Like after in VGC15, also in the Western world, it wasn't as highly treated as it was in Japan. I mean, people started using it eventually, but Cresselia, I don't know, like the Japanese, they do love their Cresselia, so if it's available, they would use it. It's a little bit declining in usage, as you can see. Yeah, like lost one spot, but that's not too bad, I guess. And yeah, 40% of teams have a Cresselia, which is pretty crazy if you think about it, since Cresselia, like, unlike other supporters, like, it doesn't have like Prankster or anything, it doesn't have like great speed. All it has, it's like its monstrous bulk, and then you have to decide which item do you want to run. Do you want to have the Mental Herb to protect yourselves from potential taunts or encores? Do you want to have like the Citrus Berry for more general bulk, and so on? And yeah, I mean, the most common thing to do with Cresselia is, I would guess, Trick Room and then Skill Swap, reset Primal Weather, and then have your Groudon or Kyogre just sweep them with the weather advantage. So yeah, nothing out of the ordinary. Now, the next up, we do have Kyogre, and it's interesting to see that both Kyogre and Groudon are rising in usage. So, like, you would expect, or at least I would would have expected them to like balance each other out probably, and then it depends on who of the two can reliably beat the others. Like, I thought that at some point, or maybe this point will come, but I thought that at some point, people would figure out a way for like either for Groudon to reliably beat Kyogre teams, or for Kyogre to reliably beat Groudon teams. But it does not like this has happened yet. as both of them have like a lot of usage at this point. Groudon with like 60 something, Kyogre with 40 something. I mean, there's like some teams that run double primal, and then most of the teams do have either one Kyogre or one Groudon, so that's all reasonable. But as I said, both are increasing in usage at least a little bit, so that means we don't know the perfect setup for Kyogre teams to beat Groudons and the other way around. So I'm really hoping that it would stay this way, because like, imagine there was like a way for Kyogre to reliably have up its weather against Groudon teams. Like, who would use Groudon anymore? You would just like get Water Spotted, Origin Pulse, I don't know, like it would just be like Kyogre versus Kyogre Mirrors or something, I don't know. But yeah, it doesn't look like this. Also the other way around, doesn't look like Groudon can beat Kyogre reliably, though I think it makes a little bit of sense, since like Groudon is probably like the stronger one of the two, like individually, taking into account like the whole like mons that are allowed, like Xerneas being a threat, Kangaskhan being a threat, and so on and so on. But Kyogre like beats Groudon if it has like the weather up, but Groudon doesn't always beat Kyogre if they have the weather up. So that's like kind of some neat balancing between them, which I think is interesting. And yeah, looks like Kyogre is still on the rise a little more. Really looking forward to seeing where this will end. And yeah, by the time the World Championship is around, I don't know, like, I could see 8 Groudons in top 8, I could also see like 8 Kyogres in top 8, I don't know, like, time will show, I guess. Next up we do have Salamence, who is always sitting on that 6th slot, so didn't change in rank, increased a little bit in usage, which is cool. I think Mega Man's definitely a strong choice. Intimidate is always nice, especially if there's like Kangaskhan around. There's like, you know, like a team like similar to what I used. You have like Groudon that can't really touch it, Mega Kangaskhan that gets intimidated, Talonflame gets intimidated. Xerneas is obviously good against Salamence, but Salamence has like Hyper Voice for the Smeargle, and it can also deal with like all other sorts of mons. Draco is nice, Double Edge, you can go mixed, you can even like set up Tailwind, so Salamence, very strong choice here in this format, outspeeds most of the restricted mons, outspeeds Mega Rayquaza, so it's a really good check to those Mega Rayquaza and fast Kyogre teams that are running around, since you can one-shot Rayquaza with Draco Meteor and do like a lot of damage, like 80% or something to non-bulk Kyogre. So yeah, I do think Salaman's definitely a strong pick in this meta. Now that's it with the big 6, I guess, but now let's, yeah, I picked out some mons that are like, that saw like a lot of changes in their usage. As you can see here, Talonflame increased from spot 17 in the first qualifier all the way up to 7th place in the most recent qualifier. The usage like got up by 22%, that's like a lot. From 11%, like 1 in 9 teams, to 33%, 1 in 3 teams. So Talonflame is on the rise. Yeah, I think I mentioned this in one video, but I do think the way non-restricted mons and non-megas in VGC16 work is that you are either like you have Prankster, or you're like very frail and you have like Prankster or like a lot of speed. For example, like Leopard or Crobat. Or you're like very bulky and you have like a lot of support moves, like, I don't know, like Togekiss or Cresselia, for example. However, Talonflame doesn't really fit into either of those two categories, because unlike all the other mons, it can actually do like a lot of damage. I mean, sure, Crobat has Super Fang and like, I don't know, Cresselia has Ice Beam, but they don't really do too much. But Sun Boosted Flare Blitz from Life Orb, Max Attack, Talonflame can do a lot of damage to a lot of stuff. Brave Bird has priority. Most of the time you will see Life Orb on this thing, but you can also support your team with moves like Taunt, Quick Guard, and Tailwind. So Talonflame has a really interesting position in VGC16 at this point, I think. Counters some strategies, like it's good against Smeargle, kinda. It's good against Trick Room, like you can pick up KOs in like Amoonguss and Trick Room, which is something that not a lot of stuff can do actually in this format. So yeah, unlike in past formats, I do think the Talonflame is actually good right now, and usage also shows that. I mean, I used it at the regional because I thought it was good, and yeah, looks like usage also increasing there. Next up we do have Smeargle. Probably the most controversial Mon, at least like the most controversial non-restricted Mon, since Primal Groudon and Xerneas are also pretty crazy. Yeah, usage increased from a mere 14% in the first qualifier up to 32% in the third one. So yeah, 1 in 3 teams will have a Smeargle. Um, Now, once again, like over 100 participants played in all of those tournaments, so those numbers are at least a little bit like representative of what you might expect going into like competitive tournaments, since like if you're playing in like a best of one single elimination Japanese qualifier tournament where they like hand points out, a little bit similar to what Nugget Bridge does with their Nugget Bridge points, you can also like get points in the Japanese system, and then the top X people will get to a final invitational where there's prize money on the line. So yeah, 1 out of 3 people think that Smeargle is their best bet in such a tournament, which is a little bit concerning in my opinion. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about Dark Void and about how bad some people think Smeargle is for the format. As you might know, I am one of those. I do think that Dark Void should not be allowed in this format, as yeah, like it makes team building like very strange, because like Smeargle Xerneas, for example, is just like a very simple lead, very simple team, very simple to play, but it's still able to beat a lot of like well thought out teams, even if they have like so-called like answers to Smeargle. And but I don't know. I mean, it's only at 32% of usage, or it was at 32% of usage in that qualifier. And once again, like it's only like one tournament. Maybe you won't play a single Smeargle in like at nationals. I don't know. So I guess it's not like out of the roof, but I still think it's like very concerning to see its usage being so up high, and also to see that the usage goes like up even more. I mean, if it was actually the case that you could like very easily like counter Smeargle, then people wouldn't use it, you know? But yeah, it's there, it's out there, you have to prepare for it, and yeah, that's all I can say to this. Um, Another thing that I definitely thought was worth looking into is the 4th most used Mon, like the 4th most used restricted Mon in Mega Rayquaza. The usage got up a little bit, climbed the way to like rank 7 in the second qualifier, but now it's below Smeargle and Talonflame, even though its usage like increased a little bit. I do think Rayquaza is definitely very interesting. The most common partner for Rayquaza obviously being Kyogre, while Groudon and Xerneas being the other, like being the most popular duo, and then Rayquaza, Kyogre being the second most used one. So really looking forward to seeing how those two archetypes will fare against each other at the later stage in the metagame, since I do think that both of them like do have the tools to beat each other, and maybe there will be some cool techs. But yeah, Mega Rayquaza also still around, and you can still definitely use it. Then here you can see like some more mons that I thought were worth yeah, talking about. Leopard fell down hardcore from like 24% being in 1 out of 4 teams to mere like 12%, like that's like not very much. So people started to realize, just like I did, that like Leopard, it was very good at the beginning. I really liked leading like Groudon and Leopard, for example, what I also did in the Japanese versus Germany friendly against C. Like having fast fake out, encore threat, taunt, thunder wave, foul play, they all seem very appealing, but yeah, as the metagame stabilized a little bit, it looks like Leopard is not really pulling its weight anymore, and he had dropped in usage consequently. Crobat still up there, still rising in usage, now up to 24% of teams used it in the most recent qualifier, and I'm not entirely sure at this point how good Crobat actually is. At first I thought it was pretty nice to have, like Chex Smeargle has Tailwind, has Taunt, Quick Guard, Super Fang, all of those are pretty nice, but then again it's also pretty easy to KO, and yeah, but we'll see how much usage it will have at a later stage in the format. And then something else that has been like interesting to see for me is that Ferrothorn. Now, as you might know, I participated in a mid-season showdown this Saturday, and there was like a lot of Ferrothorn. I'll show you the stats in a bit, but yeah, there was a lot of Ferrothorn, and so I wanted to look into this, and yep, this like trend is also replicated in the Japanese tournament scene, as we do see now like 17% of people used Ferrothorn, and Ferrothorn being a good check to Xerneas, yeah, like can one-hit KO it with Gyro Ball. It has Power Whip that can one-hit KO non-ball Kyogre, and also obviously does like a lot of damage to bulky Kyogre. It has good typing in Steel and Grass type. It's good in Trick Room. It's still decent outside of Trick Room. I'm not sure how you should run it, or how you should EV it, or which item to give, but I do think that Ferrothorn is definitely worth looking into in the future. Now, I was just talking about this mid-season showdown in Erlangen, hosted by DrugDuck, yours truly, and yeah, once again, thanks a lot to him, because this tournament was actually a best of 3 Swiss tournament, which is something new. TPCI now allows for mid-season showdowns to be best of 3 Swiss, however, they have to be operated on 2 different days, so it has to be like Swiss on Saturday and then Top Cut on Sunday. We didn't really face any problems with like time being a factor at all. In fact, we finished like pretty early. I think like Swiss took around 4 hours, including a lunch break, so yeah, I guess we could have played Top Cut as well, but yeah, that's how the rules are, I guess. And here you can see the usage statistics. Thanks once again to DrugDuck for writing them down for me. Here once again we do see like the big 6 kinda, but Talonflame, yeah, sitting there at a comfy 4th spot, tying with Salamence and Kyogre in usage, and then Cresselia being a little bit behind, but yeah, you get the idea. And then also stuff like Ferrothorn is pretty high up there, used 7 times, and then like Amoonguss, Smeargle, and Crobat, and yeah, other stuff that is pretty common. So that also like goes to show somehow that even though like the data from the Japanese tournaments is like only theory, like they were like available before this tournament, and like in analyzing them, you could potentially like predict the usage stats of like even your local tournament, and maybe yeah, the scene around you has like similar distribution of the mons as well. So yeah, that's basically it. Just wanted to talk a little bit how I feel like some of the mons do at the moment in the metagame, and how things are changing. Yeah, and here you can see some other videos I did running the team that I think is like the most standardish you can get at the moment, probably, like Kangaskhan, Mega Salamence, Groudon, Smeargle, Talonflame, and Xerneas. So in case you did not check out my videos from the Stockholm regionals that I won using this team, then yeah, click on any of the, no, we're on the wrong side, any of the, like, they're all over the place basically, so yeah, click them and then you can like watch them, I guess. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you learned something here, and maybe you want to try out some of the stuff that I suggested here. In case you want to dig down the usage stats a little bit more, they will be in the description for all 3 of the tournaments, for everything I mentioned. So yeah, enjoy going through them and have a good day, and yeah, see you soon. Bye.